That's impressive work. Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies to you. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Julia. I'm a contemporary singing specialist based in Australia, and today I am checking out an artist that is brand new to me. This is Faouzia. Yes, I did actually have to check the start of one of her interviews to learn how to pronounce her name, but hopefully that was right. Today we are going to be reacting to her performance of You Don't Even Know Me. This is the stripped version. So let's get into this. I'm keen to see why you've requested that I react to her. So let's get into it.
I walk into a crowded room, everybody staring. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Oh, you see what you wanna see, but you don't even know me. What did I do now? What did I do now? He said, she said, over it. You're acting like you're brilliant, but you don't know. Yeah, you don't know. You don't know a thing at all. You don't know about the way I am when I am alone. You don't even know the way I care, the way I've grown. You don't know about the way you love so deeply to my bones. You don't even know me. Whoa.
Oh my, range. Range with a capital R. Hell, let's make them all capitals. To start with, I wasn't expecting her to be way down in what I would normally consider alto land. Let's pitch check that, because I want to know just how much she spanned range-wise between where she's singing in the verse to where she wound up in the chorus, with some of the cleanest, most flawless belting that I think I've heard in a while from younger performers. Now, I did do a little Google of Faouzia before jumping into this reaction so that I understand that her background is Canadian Moroccan, and she is a young performer. It said she's 21 at the moment, so I'm not sure how old she is in this recording, but I'm assuming younger than that because this was released earlier than how old she is now. Anyway, let's listen to these low notes again. I think we're about to hear it in this second verse, so maybe we'll listen to the second verse and I'll pitch check through this one, but for now, the consistency, I'm honestly shocked. It's been a while since we've had someone who can support low notes like this with that much fullness in sort of, I guess, the pop realm. Sometimes they get a little bit more breathy and washed out, but there's a fullness to her tone that is genuinely, I wasn't expecting the belt because of how full it was. So we're going to keep going. I'm going to listen, then we'll break down how she's doing certain things.
Walk it off and brush away everything you say, 'cause I don't care at all. I don't care at all. He said, she said, over it. You're acting like you're brilliant, but you don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
Okay, so she's about to go into what I feel is the next bit. So
acting like you're brilliant, but at all.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought we were going to that F3. That's decently low. Decently low. I think the lowest note that shocked me the most last time is actually from Taylor Swift. She went all the way down to a C3 in her song oh god, what was it? Don't remember. Caption Julia, insert. She dropped all the way down to the C3 and I was like, oh damn, wow, I didn't even know that was accessible for you. That's impressive work. So yeah, this F3, we're edging down into, you need the alto range. Sopranos may struggle with this. But that being said, contemporary singers, you can't really classify them in the traditional sense of voice classes because often the songs exceed where those voice classes would normally be composed for anyway. So treating her as an individual here, this is very impressive range. Let's hear where she goes up in this chorus.
He said, she said over it. You're acting like you're brilliant, but you don't know. Yeah, you don't know. You don't know a thing at all. You don't know about the way I am when I am all alone.
The way. Okay, so she's going all the way up to a D5. Yup. Damn. Oof. That's solid. That is solid, especially for pop. I've made this comment before. You at least want a C5. At least. If you're doing pop music, you want to take it seriously. And it needs to be a comfortable C5. Not a, I'm working my butt off for this and I'm not going to be able to do it on tour more than once in a row. I'm talking a comfy C5. That sounds like a comfy D5 for her in this chorus. What makes it sound comfortable to me is the closure in her vocal tone, the fact that it doesn't sound like there's any excess tension or it's not overly compressed is I guess what I'm describing there. It doesn't sound squeezed. Press phonation, which is where the vocal folds are jammed so tightly together that it almost creates like a sharp, it's a very unpleasant tone when you hear true press phonation. I don't hear that in her belting, and usually press phonation is the first thing I listen for if we are listening to a belter and we want to know if they're comfortable where they are. The space that she still has left in her belt when she goes up there makes sense based on how you hear her escalate up to that note. It doesn't sound like she's over-compressing, over-squeezing, not introducing that press phonation thing I just described going up in there. So that is solid. And for 21, or I guess suppose younger, that is really impressive on a stamina front because your voice doesn't actually officially finish settling for females until you're about 24. So yes, the majority of your development will be done vocally for a female. It's slow and it's not as obviously as big a change as what happens to the male voice, but your main, I guess, voice change tends to happen for females between the ages of 12 to about 15, 16. That's when you start to get really breathy. You might lose stamina. Your vocal folds don't want to come together. They're figuring their stuff out. You go from something that might sound higher pitched to something that's settling a little bit lower. That's why, that for a whole host of reasons, when a younger person around that 12, 13, I hear too much darkness and you can hear it's from the tongue root pushing back. They're forcing something that may in fact be naturally developing over the course of that period. I don't know why I started talking about prepubescent or pubescent vocal development. This is awesome. And I'm going to listen to the rest and then we will talk vocal techniques and functions.
You don't even know the way I care, the way I've grown. You don't know about the way you love so deeply to my bones. You don't even know me. Whoa. Whoa. You don't even know. You don't know a thing at all. You don't know about the way I am when I am all alone. You don't even know the way I care, the way I've grown. You don't know about the way you love so deeply to my bones. You don't even know me. You don't even know me.
All right, so demonstrating a lot of the things that we start to hear in that first chorus, but really building on them dynamically as we get towards the end, throwing in more of, I liken it more to a hammer vibrato where there's almost like a harsher onset into some of the sounds that she's making, but it's not just in the vibrato, she's applying it to her flexible passages as well. And it reminds me perhaps of some of the vibrato and yodeling choices of music that is not necessarily traditionally of a Western variety. Western vibrato tends to be very round and very consistent. Same with the hammer vibrato. We might have a harsher onset, but it's usually more on the consistent side. For her to be applying that concept into something that is highly flexible, like she's putting runs in here that demonstrate her vocal flexibility. That's the ability to move quickly from note to note in a pleasing pattern. The pleasing pattern is a very important, very important part. So she's got these riffs, she's got these runs that she's demonstrating in her singing here, but it's the onsets as she's moving through it. It's almost there's like a little hitch or shudder as she goes into the start of it, which reminds me of a hammer vibrato. In addition to that, she's using other things that tend to be more expressive if you connect them to how people might talk. So she's got sighs, she's got aspiration coming in at times, she's falling onto fry as she comes off something. There's a moment there where it's very compressed. I'll get Caption Julia to insert it.
You don't know a thing. You don't know a thing. You don't know a thing.
Because this is something that actually I also incorporate it to add extra tension into your performance, and it does require you almost pull back on the sound so it thins out a little bit, but then you're compressing it at the same time. So I'll get Caption Julia to reinsert that so you know exactly which section I'm talking about. But throughout this performance, I am enjoying the consistency of her tone. There are moments there where it definitely feels unbalanced in the breath work. That's typically around that little shuddering sound. And I think part of that is how she achieves the sound. But she comes out of that. She's not consistently unbalanced except in those moments, and it's for a particular stylistic effect. Then she leaves it. She comes back to her clean, stable singing with incredible access through her range. So this to me was very impressive, considering that I am looking at a younger singer, not just tone and range wise, but also the versatility in how she chooses to express herself as an artist. Vocally, she's doing things that are very identifiable and that other people might not necessarily be able to do with the same tone that she does. I said earlier, I'm not accustomed to hearing young people go that low or that warm, but also just in pop in general, having singers who can access down that low, but also maintain that warmth and then carry that up into her range as well. There's a very warm sound in her singing, but there's also a darkness in there. I do think that a little bit of her tongue root is contributing to that, but I don't think she's using an overwhelming amount. An overwhelming amount would mean she'd start to sound like Kermit the Frog, which is not at all what you hear when you're listening to her perform. So there are definitely things that I think are assisting some of that darkness, particularly as she goes towards the low end, but she's able to carry up that warmth and that little sprinkle of darkness in her sound all the way up, even into her belt, where you might expect something to thin out and become super bright. This balance of color across her registration is incredibly impressive to me, on top of her age. I mean, we can talk about age and all of that till the cows come home, but sometimes people also just develop physically so much faster than their peers. There are some people who take till 24 or longer for their voices to settle. Some people's voices are settled and ready to go at 20, 21. Everyone is different and everyone's instrument is different and unique. And I like how she's utilizing perhaps the unique elements of her timbre, the unique attributes that she's fused into her technique as part of her stylistic expression. As I don't know if she calls herself a pop artist or whatever, but I enjoy these kinds of performances. They speak more to me than something that is, I suppose, could be emulated or mimicked by so many other people. So this was great. I thoroughly enjoyed this. If this is where she's starting out, imagine what she's going to be like once she has even more experience as an artist, and I suppose has the power to make even more of her own choices, because it's very rare when you're starting off as a young pop artist to be able to make absolutely every creative decision. You can have a lot of input depending on what company you're signed to, or if you're signed to a company at all. If you're independent, then you can do whatever the hell you want. Typically, sometimes. But in those, in labels and other organizations like that, often at the start of your career, you don't quite have as much control over what you want to do creatively. So I can only imagine how she is going to continue to evolve. If this is the style of music that she's choosing to perform in, and if this is what she can already do vocally, I'm looking forward to seeing what that journey looks like. So if there is another song that perhaps is more recent that you think I should have a listen to, or if there are other songs that you think would be a great way of me to hear what else Faouzia can do vocally, put them in the comments below, because I'm very keen to listen to more. This was a really pleasant surprise. Usually when people suggest someone who is a younger artist, I'm going, oh, okay, I'm going to hear buttloads of tongue retention, or I'm going to hear someone who's pushing past their stamina limits, or things to that effect, because it happens a lot, particularly if you're watching a live performance. Now, I know that this isn't live, because you can see it in how she's singing, but also sometimes what her left hand is doing on the piano is not what you're hearing on the piano, because it's up and there's still a lot of notes being played unless her hand is able to go bloop. And of course, in these kinds of settings, you're able to add post-production onto it. So I do think that there's been post-production. Post-production does not necessarily mean auto-tune. I would love it if you could spread the word that post-production is a necessary element of the industry as it is today. You do not listen to a single scrap of music that is not produced or had things done to it in order to make it acceptable by industry standards. Post-production does not necessarily mean auto-tune. And often the kind of auto-tune that you hear has been taken to, like, it's been dialed up to 1,000 because they want to use it as a creative element or a stylistic effect. A lot of people utilize auto-tune in a way that you can't hear. I'm not suggesting that Faouzia is using auto-tune here, but you can hear that there's been some post-processing done on her vocals in order to make it industry standard. If there are songs that are completely raw, like they've captured her on like a camera at a live event or something that hasn't, I suppose, gone through that or had the potential to go through that post-processing thing, then please let me know as well, because I just wanted to mention that. You can see that this is a stripped back performance. Yes, that speaks to arrangement. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's been absolutely nothing done to the vocals. And even if there were things done to the vocals, this is part of the industry. This is to be expected. I would be more shocked if there wasn't anything done to it. Anyways, that is where I'm going to leave this one today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like, click the subscribe button and the bell notification beside it for more just like this one. As usual, I hope you're staying safe. I hope you are staying healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye. Okay, let's do that again.